kind of buck. Picture for yourself in your head, yourself at age 3. Were you active? What kind of foods did you like to eat? Were you lazy? Were you underweight? Were you overweight? Were you a healthy weight? Me, according to my mother's very, very detailed records back here in this book, very detailed. I was just about 33 inches tall, which is like just under 3 feet tall, and 25 pounds. That's picture me when I was 3 years old. And I was wearing this little thing. Notice how it's literally falling off my shoulder because it was too big. This tiny little thing. Now picture yourself again at age 8 or 13. Were you still the same underweight, overweight, healthy weight? Did you eat more? Did you exercise more? A few weeks ago I spoke to you about the epidemic of childhood obesity that's happening here in the United States. And I mentioned a policy that was designed to address it, the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010. Today I will discuss with you this policy and some of its not-so-good implications for the general population of children. We'll discuss what it is and why it's ineffective, my plans to repeal and replace it, and your options for involvement. So if I were you, I'd be sitting there thinking, like, what is this Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act and why is it a big deal? In a nutshell, the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act is a bunch of rules for school lunches that Michelle Obama formulated, and it was passed into law in December of 2010, designed to reduce levels of childhood obesity. This has proved relatively ineffective because, if you remember, in my last speech, I cited that the Journal of Health said that 30% of the population of children in Philadelphia school district are overweight or obese. But if you look at the flip side of that, that means that 70% of them are healthy, which you can see in my little pie chart right there. So, what do you do about those kids that are healthy? The regulations on school lunches are pretty strict. One example of a regulation that they have on school lunches is about milk, saying that all the milk has to be low-fat. Which you'd think, alright, that's great, like low-fat milk, like that's good for you, right? Well, for adults it's really good for you, but not so much for children. They're actually so adamant about this low-fat milk thing that in this little picture book, which is designed to help children understand the food pyramid, on the little milk page, at the bottom it says you should drink more low-fat milk, and at the top it says less whole milk. Now, you might be thinking, alright, what's the big deal? Like, where's the proof that says this? But Mary Lou Henner, in her book Healthy Kids, which is like a nutrition guide for parents, for telling them like what your kids should be eating, says that fat is a very important source of calories for children, constituting up to 50% of what an infant should be taking in, and then reducing like slowly as you get older. But it's very important for young children. These calorie restrictions are really not so good for kids because the spectrum of calorie needs that they have is very different. So the USDA, which is like the U.S. Department of Agriculture, this is their little like sample menu that they put up as a before and after of the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act. Now I think we can all agree, I don't know if you can really read that, that like the before was really not that healthy to begin with. But the bottom, while it's nutrient dense, they've taken it a little far because the amount of food that elementary school kids are getting is the same amount that high school kids are getting, which I don't know about you, but the difference between when I was 8 and when I was 14 and the amounts of what I ate is huge. So this little video is like a parody of the fun song, We Are Young, that some teenagers made in response to the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act because they're like starving at lunch.
Give me some seconds, I need to get some food today. My friends are at the corner store getting junked so they don't waste away. My lover ate 2 grams of meat, just about to starve. My bread was taken by some school bully, asking about some more, and I know I gave up on food months ago. I know I'm trying to forget, but between the milk and feta cheese, the pains in my tummy I'm trying hard to find nourishment, so if by the time you go to practice and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are.
So you might be thinking, like, why not just update it? Why get rid of it altogether? Well, there have been several attempts at updates over the last 3 years since it was passed in the first place, but they've only usually led to more rules. For example, like the milk thing, it didn't used to say that it has to all be low-fat milk. It said that the schools should provide a variety of fat content, and then it reduced it down to low-fat. So these updates have been kind of ineffective. And if you think about it, it's impossible for one law to set out regulations that will provide adequate nutrition for every different child or every different person. So my plan is to repeal it and replace it with a new policy that would set up registered dietitians to work in tandem with the school nurses to help the overweight children get down to a healthy weight, leaving the school lunches healthy but removing overarching restrictions on such things as seconds. So what is the point of doing all that? Like, why bother? Well, there are several benefits to repealing and replacing it, which is that all the kids, not just the overweight or obese ones, will be getting adequate and appropriate nutrition. The overweight children would still be getting help to get their weights down to a good point, and it would adhere the federal government to its place in education, which is not to be directly involved in every single school, but to leave most education-related decisions up to the states. So, as you can see, remembering that that most of the kids are healthy or underweight, you can see that repealing and replacing is the best action to take for the majority population. So, now that we said that, what can you and I do about it? Well, you can write to your local senator or representative, which is actually not as hard as you would think it is. Like, you don't even have to print it out and mail it or anything. You can just go to that little website, which is all the Bucks County elected officers. Click on the person's name, click contact them, and then type it in, send it. And they do actually read these things, like they're required to, as part of their job. Or you could go online and sign one of many numerous online petitions against the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, saying that it needs to be updated at the very least. And don't think that doesn't do anything either, because it does. If it gets sent to the U.S. legislation and there's enough signatures on it, they're legally required to at least address it. So if there's enough people that have the courage to really get involved, you can prevent malnutrition across the country. And so I encourage each of you to write to your local senator or representative, or sign one of the petitions against the Healthy Hunger-Free